All right, everybody. Well, hey, welcome to Note Night in America. Hope everybody's doing well this Monday evening. Happy, I guess it's President's Day, man. Or is that next weekend? Next Monday's President's Day. Man, sorry. I thought today was President's Day. But anyway, hope everybody's rocking and rolling here. Good to see some new faces. Haven't been on for a while, or some faces that are brand new. Guys, please keep your questions to the very end. I'll try to get to them. But let's keep your questions and comments focused on the topic. And then we'll get back to those as well for you whenever I best I can. There's plenty of time for Q&A on the topic, but I really want to get through the topic tonight. It's good to see everybody out there rocking and rolling along. As well as always, we are live streaming this straight to YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, hey, feel free to share this across the board as well with everybody out there. But once again, welcome to Note Night in America. We're excited. We've been hosting Monday night webinars, dating back to April in 2011. And we were able to get 35 or 37 in 2018. We're off rock and roll. I think this is the fifth or sixth one of the year. But anyway, we have a variety of people who are on tonight. We have note and real estate investors, with people looking to get into the notes. Brian Patterson mentioned you. People interested in investing in notes. And we do record these. So I'm making sure, we're recording live on this thing and live streaming straight to YouTube. We are always saving this information, and I highly encourage you that if you've got to step away, whether you've got a loved one, where you can't stay for the full hour, hey, don't worry about it. You can always catch the replays on our YouTube channel. You can go to weclosenotes.tv to be able to take advantage of those. Or what we also do with Note Night in America is we post these directly as well to iTunes. And we have our own Note Night in America podcast as well for our replayed images or our replayed webinars, besides posting the videos straight to YouTube in our Vimeo account. So highly encourage you to listen there. If you step out, if you've missed a couple of weeks, hey, you can binge listen to what we've got available on there. As always, we do encourage you as well to also listen and download the Note Closer Show podcast. This is our 50,000 megawatt blowtorch. Just about every Monday through Friday for the most part. We usually average somewhere between 3 and 5 episodes a week. You can get these also on our YouTube channel, but we're at 415 episodes now. Actually, just under 250,000 downloads. We should hit that by this next weekend. Just kind of mind-boggling. But would love for you to review and subscribe. If you do leave a review, please leave your name in there. But if you've got some weird iTunes name, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5. I don't know who that is, but I want to thank those that have left reviews. Would really love it. And if you never know, I might just surprise you. Go out and leave a review and leave your name. Trust me, I'll surprise you with a nice, either a book or some swag or something. So go to iTunes, leave a review, and subscribe to it. We've got lots of great episodes with content, interviews, guests, and vendors, as well, just me teaching on a variety of things. But anyway, I want to hit the event calendar real fast for you to mark your calendars. Tomorrow night, I will be in Dallas, in Grapevine, actually, for the DFW REI meetup. I'm looking to be in there with 300 to 500 other real estate investors. I'll have a booth there. You can look for the Note Closer Show podcast signs. I'll be there from basically 5 to probably 8 or 9, probably 9 o'clock at least there, and looking forward just to hanging out. Not speaking, just hanging out, visiting with everybody there. Looking forward to listening to Sean Whelan, the author of Get Shit Done. But this weekend, we do have our first virtual note buying workshop of the year of 2019. It's online. If you didn't know that already, you can join in by just going to the website, weclosenotes.com. But I might have a little special discount for some of you guys doing it for the first time. Next Wednesday, I'll be headed to Tampa. I'm going to be jet setting the next couple of weeks. Next Wednesday on the 20th, I'm excited to be speaking at the Tampa Note Closers Group. Here, so Elise is putting on there myself and my buddy Sean Yesner from the Crushing Debt podcast, who's a bankruptcy attorney in Florida, will be the special guest there in Tampa, talking about what's going on with foreclosures and what things to look out for, and really kind of just being a Q&A session to talk about what's going on in the market and things like that to look forward. So we're excited about that. Just finalized the meeting spot tonight. I'll have more information on that. Stay tuned for more information, okay? Then the following week, I'll be in San Diego as I fly out for the Traffic and Conversion Summit. I'll be in Tampa for the New Media Summit with my buddy Steve Olsher, who runs a podcasting event there. I'm an icon speaking there, but then I'll be flying at the Traffic and Conversion Summit, which is the largest marketing event in the U.S. I think 8,000 plus marketers, entrepreneurs there. And we're going to be hosting the San Diego Note Closers Group on February 28th. Still finalizing location, finalizing who may be showing up, but we're excited. That'll be that Thursday night, probably from 6:30 to 8:30 that night in downtown San Diego. Then, of course, we have our Lunch and Learn back in Orlando on March 8th, the day before the Podfest Multimedia Expo taking place. That's also a Wednesday. This is a special thing. Tickets are normally $99. If you use the code SCOTT and go to notelunch.com, you can RSVP there. Myself and Tyler Schiff, who's the host of Cashflow Guys, we're talking about cash flowing notes. But you go to notelunch.com. It's a 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. event, and lunch is included. So great way to come out, network with other note investors, and learn from Tyler and me. One of the few in-person trainings I'm doing this year. Most of it's going to be online. But anyway, for those that are interested in learning more, we have our fast track training in March 15th through the 17th. We got 2 spots. The next one after that's going to be April. We just put this one on the calendar, April 19th to the 21st. Yes, I know it's Easter weekend, but we have plenty of people that want to do it. We've got just a few spots left available for March and only like 2 or 3 spots available for April. And then we have Note Camp 7. It's hard to believe it's literally like 2 months away. Note Camp 7.0, that's online. You can sign up at notecamp.live for that. And then our Note Mastermind, drum roll please, is going to be here in Austin. April 26th to the 28th. And we just signed with the Hilton Garden Inn downtown right off of 6th Street. So we got some fun, some new stuff we're going to be focused on for the Note Mastermind. We're literally talking about legacies and things like that. I think you guys have not been to one in a while. I'm glad to have you there, Jeffrey. We've got some really cool stuff that we're going to focus on a little bit different this year, this mastermind around than what we've done in the past. But anyway, that's our kind of our event schedule. If you want to take a quick picture of that. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take a big quick picture of that because I may post that online. I think I very well do that. Post that online. Because we got a lot to cover. And we got a lot going on here, along with not only travel, but speaking, and then also just really providing great content to everybody out there as always. So, question here from somebody. Great. There you go, Paul. Put in for leave as soon as the mastermind is over. So that's good. Glad to hear it. Glad to have you. Great stuff. But anyway, we do have, for those that have not been to our February or one of our virtual note buying workshops, it's this Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We spend a full day on finding assets, a second day on Saturday on going through the raising the capital, structuring the deals. And then on Sunday, the third day, we go about exit strategies. Yes, we'll mix in due diligence along the way. We got special servicing we'll talk about. We'll talk about self-directed IRAs, raising capital. If you go to WeCloseNotes.com virtual training, usually it's $6.99. That includes you plus a guest, but I'm going to give you a special $100 off if you use the code Valentine. It's all capitals. It is case sensitive. Use the code Valentine to save you $100 for $5.99 for the virtual note buying workshop. And that's the only place I've shared that is here on the webinar tonight. So trust me, this is our nuts and bolts workshop. It's what really a lot of people dive into and really learn the A to Z. Like I said, it's the basics. It's all both focused on buying non-performing notes for the most part. Yes, we'll talk a little bit about performing. No, we're not going to cover owner finance notes. We're going to discuss really the nuts and bolts of buying non-performing notes and how you can capitalize on that this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 9 to 5 Central Standard Time on Friday and Saturday, 9 to 3 on Sunday. So looking forward to having you. I still have my notes on the board that I wrote from the last one I just did back in November. And I've been making marks as we've checked things off to add new to the workshop. So we're pretty stoked about that. Thanks, Rudy. I appreciate that for taking a photo and texting that to me. Thank you very much. But anyway, I have one chapter left available for Loan Tales. If you're interested, get your story told, guys and gals. If you've wanted to have a story published about you and any of the cases that you're working on, this is the thing that we really, really are prideful on. We've filmed about a dozen chapters already with some of the students. We're going to be focused on case studies. We're going to be marketing this everywhere to asset managers, online. Every time I go speak to a REIA club, we'll be offering this. So if you'd like to have your story told thousands and thousands and thousands of times, this is a thing for it. I'll give you an example. What's great is also each person has a chapter will be on the Note Closer Show podcast as well, talking about their deal, talking about their story behind a little bit longer than reading it. But can you imagine? Like, I'll give you Eric Hyde. He did a podcast episode with me, over 2,500 downloads. He's raised about $1 million in private capital. Dan Deppen has been on once before, raised quite a bit of money. Look at Laura Blunk's been on before, raised some money from what we do. I'd love to have you all be on if you want to take advantage of the chapter. So there's one. You can't dilly-dally. If you've ever wanted to do something, get your story told, this is what you need to do. Like I said, yes, I will be distributing this to asset managers. Yes, you'll have your own ebook side that you can use to market across the board. But if you know how much I love to market, imagine my team behind you telling your story, your case study, and helping promote you as well. But literally, it's $5.99 per chapter. I don't have 15. Sorry, I only have one chapter left. Please take the time, get signed up for it. Do yourself a favor. Sign up now, loantails.com. This will probably be the last night you hear me talk about this on the webinar. I've got some RSVP'd as well for some people that are finishing up and they need an extra day. But hey, if you don't get signed up for that one, you may not be able to get a chapter. So that's all I can do for you. Go to loantails.com to get your story told. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns from anybody out there tonight? I know a lot of you guys have been busy. I see you guys traveling all over going to things. So tonight is all about helping you building your perfect note business. And the thing I wanted to start off with, you're going to crack up at this. I'm going to start off not perfection. I'm going to start off with failures first. And I'm going to tell you right now, I am far from perfect. Many of you know that. Stephanie's like, hell yeah, you're not perfect. My ex-wife, you're not perfect. The thing is, I can laugh at things because, when you make mistakes, you learn more from your mistakes. And as I said, I am far from perfect. I continue to make my fair share of mistakes on a weekly basis. It's not as often as I used to, but I'm making different mistakes now. They're a little bit more advanced mistakes than I did on the front end as a brand new note investor, really back in 2008. I made my share of mistakes in 2008, 2010. Oh my gosh, it was the Wild West back there because of just so much stuff was going on. What we do today, everybody, really didn't exist. Yes, you had the ability to buy one-off notes, owner finance notes, and that's where the majority of the business came from for a lot of note investors. I'm going to originate, I'm going to buy a partial, I'm buying an owner finance note, or occasionally you buy a non-performing note from a bank and hedge fund. But now it's different. You can buy a lot, and it's made a lot of different mistakes. I've learned more from my mistakes than my wins. I've learned a lot from the things I've screwed up on. And I think hopefully you guys and gals that are watching this, that are on the webinar tonight, realize that I'm pretty open about my mistakes. I'm pretty open about the things that I screw up on. Especially if you're in my mastermind group, I'm like, hey, don't do that. Or, hey, do this. Or, I'm passionate about promoting you guys when you have a home run or you hit something out of the park or you close on a deal. Because I'm so want to help those that are willing to take action. And I look back on some numbers, it's less than 10% of anybody that does anything from those that have gone through a workshop and actually gone out and done something. It's less than like 2% for those that are closing on 10 deals or more. Now, that's not to bash anybody. It's just that people drift a lot. People really are scared to take action, and that's not what I want. I want people to take action. Luckily, a lot of our mastermind students are going out and closing on tremendous amounts of deal. Laura Blank says, oh, Lordy, yes, mistakes are lessons you don't forget. Yeah, amen to that. Right, Laura? Right, Paul? Right, Jeffrey? We got some great people. Desi, Helena, yeah. We've all learned more from mistakes than wins. But I will tell you this. I have never been scared to fail. There's some things I've taken some big hacks at and, oh my gosh, got kicked in the teeth, kicked in the shins. I've been more scared of not succeeding. That's the thing that has always driven me. When Steph asked me what am I scared of, I don't like snakes, okay? But I'm more scared of not succeeding, not sticking to what I'm focused on, and not continuing to grow as an individual. That's the thing that really, that's the thing I'm scared of. Like not continuing to keep up, not continuing to keep going. And don't get me wrong, we all have, peaks and valleys. We all have good times and we have bad times. All right. And those things will sometimes hit you blindly. Things coming, things going. We all have different things that happen. And if you've been an entrepreneur long enough, you've seen that. Even heck, let's just look at the people that worked for the government. They were at a pretty tough time, on furloughs and unpaid furloughs and things like that. That a lot of people are like, oh, I work for the government, I always get paid. That's not always the case. But I will tell you this: my definition of success has changed. I'm still a long ways away from what I consider my success, and I'll share more of that later on with you. But I don't feel like where I'm at. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a lot more successful than I ever thought I would be looking back 10 years ago, especially looking back 20 years ago. It's hard to believe, especially like thinking about graduate high school in 95, graduate college in 2001. When I look back at the last 18 years, I'm like, man, this is a whole lot more different than I ever thought, in a good way. So, and so here are some mistakes that I've made, and you may want to write these down if you want to clarify them, or I'm glad to clarify them. I don't want to be here for 2.5 hours, but I'll be here for an hour and a half with you guys tonight on this if it takes that long. But here's one of the number one things: no business partners. Here's my mistakes. The mistakes I've made is when I brought on business partners. And the first one was brand new. Second one, oh my gosh. The third round of business partners, I should have known better. You don't need business partners. Now, don't get me wrong. If you share blood, share a bed, or share an entity with somebody, you're in business with them, obviously, right? Bed, blood, and it was something else. Oh, name was the third thing. Sorry, it wasn't an entity, but I'm a big believer you don't need business partners. Every time I've had a business partner, it went south. And it not badly all the time. Sometimes people just had a different direction they wanted to go. Others were toxic. Others were out for their own agenda and didn't pony up. So you don't need business partners. I've seen people come into my offices here, and then by the end of the weekend, after a fast track, they weren't in business anymore because they were horrible business partners. Bed, blood, thank you, Roger. Bed, blood, and bank account. That was after this weekend. You're right. But that's the thing. You can add what you can do without taking a partner. You can either add vendors or hire assistants to do probably what your partner was going to do for you. Unless it's family or you're married to that person, you really don't need business partners. That's the biggest thing that I've made. All right. Biggest mistake I've made was right off the bat, no business partners. You want to be long to hire and quick to fire. Take time to find good people to bring on board. If they don't work and they drag things out, be quick to fire them. Because if they're negative Nancy, if they're Debbie Downer, they can be toxic to the rest of your organization. Maybe it's an organization of 2. Maybe it's an organization of 5. Who knows what it is initially? But be quick to fire if they're detrimental. Okay. I would go back and spend more on legal and asset protection initially. That was one thing that I ran with a little bit more, and it got me in trouble with a couple bad deals. So that's okay. I would spend more time on legal, spend more time and definitely more money on legal asset protection to begin with. Okay. You want to keep the mind of crawling before you walk, before you then run. In some cases, I bit off more than I could chew when I was first as a real estate investor back in 2000s, especially right off the bat, right off the books. Yeah. Should never have bought those properties straight out of college. Thought I knew everything. Boy, did I learn. Should have never bought those big, heavy rehabs here in Austin when I was used to doing $150,000 flip. Should have stuck to my business model. Should have grown my note business a little bit before taking down a large portfolio. Okay. And one thing too, and I think every real estate educator, I'm an educator, deals with this. There's peaks and valleys when it comes to education and deals. There's a line that runs with it. One thing I've always prided is the fact that we actually, the whole thing with the name, we close notes, we close deals. That's what we focus on. I mean, I'm literally spending time daily with mail, or I'm talking about assets or things like that are going through on stuff here in the offices. We're working through deals. But there was a time that my education grew and my deal focus kind of shortened, and then vice versa. You have to go with that. And that's when you're trying to do too much yourself. That's been a mistake. That literally earlier on in my, maybe not earlier on, but I'd say 12 and 13 and 14 for the most part, I would say. Education was a big focus. We were growing like crazy. A lot of people were getting into the business, and I let some of my deals slide. But there's peaks and valleys. I had great deals. So I also had some valleys that fell through there. It happens. I wish I had started earlier in buying and saved more in my self-directed IRA originally. Now, whenever you're going through tough times, 8, 9, and 10, I wish I'd have done that. But looking back, I don't think there's too much that would have changed. Well, when you go through divorce, that's a tough time. And they go through it like everybody did with short sales and losing money and losing houses and things like that. Yeah, you're going to tap into your IRAs. I just wish I'd started a little bit earlier in the note space. I was around the mortgage company and coaching. Wish I started buying a few more assets a little bit more. Or I wish I'd put more away in my self-directed IRAs. Started them a little bit earlier, okay? Another thing that's a bit of a mistake is believing more in others than they believed in themselves. We've had some people, I mean that plurally, Steph and me, of people that we've had in our organization here, been big parts that we believed in them when they didn't have the faith in themselves. And no matter how much you pour into somebody, if somebody doesn't believe in themselves, they don't have the confidence, they're ultimately going to end up doing something wrong. And we've been burned a couple of times by that, by believing in others when they didn't believe in themselves or they had alternative motives. And that's why I say, don't bring on business partners. Don't bring on vendors and assistants and go from there. All right. You have to realize at some point you have to quit pouring water into a cup. If it keeps overflowing, if they don't drink it, that's technically waterboarding. You could be knowledge boarding in that case. And you have to learn to kind of, okay, I'm going to cut my losses and move on. Or, hey, not that I'm not going to love that person or push for that person to do more. It's just that I have to focus on myself. Sometimes you have to I really wish you would do that. Well, if they don't have the belief in themselves, they don't have the faith in themselves, it's a mistake for you to spend time on it. You're just literally wasting your time. What else did I do wrong? What else did I do wrong that I've learned from that I want to pass on to you guys? I should have bought more assets earlier on. I still think to this day of all the stuff I got from Wells Fargo Financial back in the day for just literally pennies. I should have bought the whole thing. Just didn't have the money, and I thought about it. Like I said earlier, I should have started earlier. Started buying more assets, especially the non-performing side. I should have been a little bit more focused on it versus what I was trying to do. I was a jack of all trades for a while. For a couple of years there, trying to figure out what I wanted to after I got divorced. And I should have just started focusing on the non-performing note stuff earlier. I said I've fallen into this before. I fell into the I don't have my own money lie early on. Oh, I don't have my money. I don't have that. I can't buy. And that's not the case. I was trying to wholesale a few assets, and that didn't work out. When if I had worked on buying those assets, I could have bought a lot more money with other people's money. And that's one thing on here too. If you're just looking to get in the note business just to wholesale, that's what you want to start off with. Do yourself a favor and go ahead and just log off. Wholesaling is an exit strategy. You could do this, but if that's all you're focused on, you are part of the problem out there and not part of the solution. Sorry, that's how I feel. And I have people, I just want to wholesale. I'm like, then don't come to my class. He goes, what do you mean? This guy today. I was like, sorry, I don't teach wholesaling. If you want to go wholesale properties in Dallas or DFW, not Jackson, Mississippi, not Detroit. If you're going to be buying, to spend the time to market and create a marketing list, why don't you just take the deal down yourself and do something there, okay? Other things I did, I let loyalty affect my business decisions. I let loyalty affect my business decisions. Like bringing on a partner and the fact that they brought me into a situation, and I was the one doing all the marketing and the one doing all the letters and doing all the other reach outs. I wanted to bring them in the deal because I felt responsible or felt loyal. Like, well, they brought me in, I want to keep them involved when I really didn't need them. It turned out when you're doing 90% of the work, loyalty gets expensive pretty fast. I talked about this before, bit off more than I could chew. 2008, I was doing higher end rehabs. I was trying to do more than what I was normally do. Bigger house does not always mean bigger profit. Sometimes it means bigger problems. So I bit off more than I could chew. And that really left me in a bad position because that one deal ended up affecting other deals that should not have been affected. I look back, if I'd have not done that big deal, I would have been fine with everything else. So keep that in mind. When you look to bite off a bigger trade or bigger assets, if your other stuff isn't rocking and rolling or they're insulated, you can be in a lot of hurt really quickly. And like I mentioned before, I wasn't as focused as I should have been my first couple of years, 2007, 8, 9. I got divorced in 2008 and really kind of left the mortgage business the end of that year. In 2009 is when I really went gung-ho 100% in the note space, and I should have done it earlier. Should have done it earlier and eliminated a lot of the other things that I was doing. Eliminated the higher rehabs, eliminated the wholesaling, eliminated raising capital for a fund. I should have just been more focused. Now, another problem I made when I finally got in and was focused, I focused more on foreclosures versus modifications. Now, when you have the market being like where it is, people are walking away from their house, they're upside down, you're going to have a lot of foreclosures taking place. But I should have earlier on, that's the thing that hurt me, is I went into the thing of the real estate business. This is one of the things I harp on for everybody out there. You understand why I'm talking about this here in a few minutes. So don't log off, don't go anywhere. This will come back. I should have focused more on the performing stuff or the non-performing stuff initially, and I'll cover that reason here in a second. And then I also had a couple toxic people in my life that determined my worth. Toxic is a couple of things, maybe not so much determine my worth, one person, but I also had toxic relationships. Man, I was a single guy. I had some crazies out there. I'm just going to be the first one to say that. I wish them all the best, but when you have toxic people around you, it's very difficult to get anything done when you're walking on eggshells, or you take one step forward and then two steps back. You can't get ahead in life having toxic people around you. And some people are family. Some people are friends that I'm close with or was close with. You have to realize at some point you have to cut the ties with the Debbie Downers out there and move on. Toxic people will kill you. They'll poison your business, they'll poison your relationships. And I had one that was extremely toxic. It was literally poisoning relationships and vendors and fellow investors just because of their dark soul, their dark hole of a heart. So if you've got somebody around you who's just negative Nancy, best thing I can do is just try to nip it in the bud as best I can. So let's quit talking about the failures and the mistakes, and let's talk about what I've done right. What did I do right when I first got rocking and rolling? Well, I was an information sponge. I was continually learning as much as I could about the real estate industry between 2004. Literally out of college, out of bad deals originally, but got my ass out of a sling. I was an information sponge. I was trying to learn as much as I could to help educate myself. I implemented new things. If I went to a workshop or I went to a seminar or I went to a meetup group and learned something new, I tried to implement something new within 72 hours. Because if you're not going to implement it in 72 hours, you're probably not going to do it. And that's one thing you've got to keep in mind. I implemented new things. I still implement new things. It's part of the reason that we're going to the new meeting. It's part of the reason I'm going to Traffic and Conversion Summit in San Diego. I called banks. That was one of the things that most people still don't do to this day. I picked up the phone and I dialed for dollars. I dialed. Called a lot of banks. And it really helped me out make those relationships. I was doing things that other people weren't. I marketed. I used Facebook. I used YouTube. All right. I used video to market for years before anybody else was really doing it. But that helped me build who I am. That helped me build my business brand. It helped me market myself besides just the deals that I was doing. And that really, the belief in my marketing helped me turn the page, turn the corner on the whole, I don't have the money thing. No, if I know how to market, if I learn how to market here, and I implement this stuff, good deals will find good money. And I still believe that to this day. Another big thing that most people would not do is spend 3 years traveling all across the United States. I have to thank all my friends and family and extended people out there that, hey, allowed for me to crash at their place or rent a room to me or whatever, showed up when I was traveling the country. That was one of the best things that I did. I learned more about myself, more about the note business, more about markets and other things than I could have ever done by just being stuck in Austin, Texas. And that led to me buying a lot of assets outside of Austin, Texas. So I actually made money versus starving in Austin, Texas. So, I'm a big fan of traveling still, but we do it a little bit differently now. So let's talk about where would I begin again? Where would I do if I had to build my stuff before? And I've done the podcast before starting over from scratch, and I don't really mean it that way. How would I structure my business? How would I build the perfect note business? Well, I would have started sooner while I had a paying job. For those of you that are coming over, that are still working, have a job, that's okay. That's an asset to you. It's not a negative. Now, if you're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, you're working a job that you hate, yes, difficult, not fun. I get that. But you should use that time, whether it's 6 months or a year and a half, to start putting some things in place in your side hustle. Take the time. Look at what our buddy Wayne Snell did. Wayne Snell worked full time, was flying internationally, working 60 hours a week with stuff, but being able to buy assets. This business can work if you put 10 to 15 hours a week into it. It totally can. Our buddy Paul Cooper, who's on tonight, is doing that. He's working full time. He's building up his reserves. He's building up his deals. He's getting things going while he still has that steady paycheck. Okay, that would have been something I should have done a whole lot sooner. It gives such a resource. Paul says, I like lights and health insurance. Exactly. I understand that. You got a wife, you got a kid. I understand that you want to make sure and cover that. Some people don't require that. Well, everybody requires lights. Health insurance, if you're healthy, but you get what I'm saying, okay? But for those, hey, start sooner. Now, for those that don't have a paying job, hey, I'm sorry, you should have started sooner, but that's okay. One of the best things that I ever learned going to college was putting a business plan together. And then many of you have never put a business plan together. You're just kind of out there like the Wild West, just shooting it up. You don't know what your focuses is. You don't know what you're looking for. You don't know the time frames. And I know that some of you are coming over from something different. Hey, I've never been a real estate investor. I've never been a fix and flipper. But what would you do if you were starting, you're a dentist or a doctor or somebody working a high-tech job? What would you do if you were going to start a new company? You were going to put a business plan together. And that's what I would recommend. Put a business plan together. It doesn't have to be 30, 40, 100 pages. Start with a SWOT analysis like we talked about before. The strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. And build from there. What do you want to focus on? What are your goals? Start with the end in mind. Another thing, I would have changed a simple thing, but this weekend from attending the Epic Funding or the intensive boot camp that Credits has put on, this is a thing that just hit me upside the head repeatedly, is I should have changed the name of my company. We Close Notes is great, but it's not an effective title. Inverse Asset Fund, Inverse Investments, I need to change some of my entities. My company name would have been completely different. Get to that. Also, starting off early on, I would have set up multiple LLCs to begin with, not just trying to squeeze everything into one, because that's the one thing I hear from people. Hey, I have existing LLC for when I was a dentist or when I had one rental property. Is that going to work enough? Well, it all depends what you have in there. And I highly encourage you to check out the episode I did this morning with Brent Busquet on the Note Closer Show. Brent does a lot of the entity structuring and the Rockefeller strategies with the Lawful Associates class. We talked a little about this today, but you may want to put some, if you have some big goals, you may want to create a couple different LLCs for depending on what your goals are. Okay. Rudy says, I was just about to ask that. Rudy, you need to quit going to all the education and start doing, man. You are all over the place going to event after event after event, but where's the deals? You got to start implementing some of the things you're learning, my friend. So, hello, I'm on my 6th note. Well, okay. All right. That's good. Congratulations. You should be on your 60th. But anyway, look, here's the thing. If you're doing rehabs, you're going to foreclose on an asset. You probably need to have one specific type of LLC. If you're going to have some performing notes on the side, and I'll get to that in a second, probably a different LLC. If you got some non-performing initially, you probably need to have it. If you're going to have in some rentals long-term after you take the property back, or you got some CFDs you're converting, probably need to be in that. If you're doing a JV deal, really over $250, spend the extra money. Yeah, I know it's $800 a year if you're in California, or $300 for a new LLC if you're here in Texas. It's just a cost of doing business. But those would be the things that I'd add a few more in the beginning. It helps keep it separate. And I'd spend a little bit more time on asset protection to begin with. Questions here? No, separate LLC for each deal that's over $250K. So basically if I'm funding $1 million and or an investor is bringing $250K to the table, I would do a separate LLC for that investor. That makes sense? That's what I would have done. Sandy says you would have a different LLC for performing notes and another one for non-performing. I wouldn't. If something got to be performing, I would then change it to a different LLC. The beautiful thing is what I have structured it. Maybe you're using a series LLC here in Texas, which would solve a lot of that for a lot of people. And that's what I have now. I've had it for a few years now. But initially, at first, if your state doesn't recognize that, you probably want to have maybe a couple LLCs out there for different things. You're going to want to talk to an asset advisor, talk to somebody about what you have going long terms. This is separate if you're using your self-directed IRA. But yeah, if you're taking some things down, Rudy says, do you take back REOs into a holding LLC separate from the note business? Yeah, if you don't sell it at the foreclosure auction, you may want to move it to a different LLC and have your investor who's on that house as a funder may put them on a first lien, slap a lien on the property. That's one thing you should do asset protection wise. But literally, let's not bog down into everything here. I mean, if you're only closing your tight budget wise, yeah, you need at least one LLC. All right. But literally, what I meant on that, if you've got a funders coming in with $250K or more, go ahead. Don't try to squeeze it with everything else. Put it on another LLC. Now, when I talked about my name being completely different, one of the most valuable things I learned this weekend is there's a lot of things I should have said differently with my entities to begin with to make them more fundable. Because I've been in business for quite a few years. We run a lot of capital through our accounts. And here are some of the things that you should not be putting. I did not even know this as a banker, but I learned this weekend. Red flag words: real estate, property, resources, estate, holdings, equities, credit, stocks, money, finance, investments, securities, savings, capital, assets, wealth, funding, prosperity. Those, what is that? 18 words are red flag words when it comes to the FICO and banking. I did not know that. You know, I got some like inverse asset funds. Oh, I should change that up. You want it to be something that's more marketable, like consulting or marketing or not coaching. What else? There's something marketing, consulting, consultants. That was one thing I learned this weekend. Yeah. Custom Solutions LLC. We're super generic. Yes, that's a good thing, Paul Cooper. Management advisors. Hassan, very nice. That's good. That's what I'm trying to get at is, a lot of people get so bogged down. I'm going to have my LLC, and they want it to sound something like a note business. I'm like, you should probably change it. See what's available and go from there. But that's a big aha nugget that if I would have begun again, starting all over, I would take that into consideration. I just want to pass it on to you all out there. Helena says, First Step Partners, LLC, but still need one for notes. Okay. Just a separate entity. It could be something else. But anyway, that's a nugget that I wanted to share with you guys all. I'm glad that you see that. You got two things out of that slide, which is good. Question I want to ask is, how many of you have ever taken time to create a business plan yet? How many of you have written a business plan out for what you want to get? You don't have to answer that because I know the answer is no for a lot of you. Some of you have. That's okay. A one-page business plan is better than no business plan. That's good, Helena. Thanks to you and Jillian recommending Traction and eMyth. Yep, Jillian's great. Saki says, first thing I did when starting my note business was a business plan. That's great. I'm excited to hear that. That's good. The rest of you should probably put something together. Another thing that I would do initially, and this is what goes back to the whole modification side, instead of focusing on foreclosures, is I would have focused on covering cash flow to begin with. And what I mean by covering cash flow, most of you that are working jobs, you have cash flow coming in. You work in, you get a paycheck, you're on salary, whatever. You've got a steady paycheck coming in. I should have initially focused on covering cash flow. Hey, I need 10 grand a month coming in. I got to work on that number one way or another. If I'm buying performing notes or I'm using other people's money to fund it, I need to cover that cash flow first and foremost. You know, this is why I talk about focusing on occupied assets. Hey, those are the most likelihood to reperform for you versus vacant assets, which is what I focused on initially. Like I said, figured out the replacement cash flow numbers and deals. This is the whole, making $250K in 2019 that we've done. That's one of the best things I can tell you is a business plan, is an idea. Figure out what your numbers are each month and then add some stuff to it. Don't just cover I got to cover it to survive. That's no fun. Add in what it is to live. If you're making $5 grand now a month is what your take home is, well, okay. That's $2,500 every pay period. Well, figure out you probably need to bring in $6 to $7 grand because then you can actually live. You can actually take some trips. You can actually enjoy some of the fun things in life. You can fund your IRAs. on a monthly basis. Instead of focusing on 30 states, I would probably focus on just 1 to 2 states to begin with. And something with a Southwest hub. What I mean by that, something I can fly to within 2 hours on Southwest Airlines. Yeah, somewhere Texas is kind of nice because I'm kind of halfway in the state. Well, I looked at my portfolio and it's really Missouri up and then over now to the east. I don't really buy anything in the west anymore. Heck, I haven't bought anything in Texas here in a few. Well, I take that back. I got a couple, but I haven't bought as nearly as much as I used to. And I'm talking about note business here, everybody. If you're buying owner finance notes in Phoenix or Dallas and that's what you want to focus on, by all means, great. That's 2 states. If you're looking for non-performing stuff or stuff that you can buy, hey, focus on 1 or 2 states in the major markets. Ohio, Michigan, Indiana. Figure out what the top 5 or 6 cities are, and that's where you focus and stick to it. Fly out on a weekend if you can afford to. But do it. Fly out. Meet with a couple realtors. Meet with some brokers. Drive around. You'll learn more from driving. All right? Learn more from driving assets than you will ever do from looking at it online. Yes, you can do most of this online, but literally drive. Oh, if you're in New York, New Jersey, get the hell out of town there. You got so many other places versus New York or New Jersey. I should have hired Madison Management a whole lot earlier. Another thing. The reason I say that is I went through servicers not quite as often as underwear. I started off with the FCI. Oh, I'm going to go the cheapest route. No, that was screw it. I'm going to go to Newview then. They were okay till then they got bought by Landhome, and then their server's like, Mwah. All right. Oh, I'm going to transfer everything to Peak. Oh, my God, that was a debacle. Yay, we want to do business with you. Great. Oh, no, we're just going to get out of the note business. We're not going to do servicing. Thank God I have Madison Management now. I'm very happy. They're not paying me to say this. They're not a sponsor, but I'm very, very happy. I should have gone with Madison Management a whole lot earlier because I love their customer service. And if you've got a different service or company you like, that's totally fine. You got a good relationship, but I'm very happy with what Madison Management does for me. I should have gone with them a whole lot earlier. I screwed up on plenty of things and just should have gone with them a whole lot earlier. So let's talk about some more of the foundational do's that you need to be doing when building up your things. All right. Here's one thing I see a lot of people really slough off on, and it really stunts their growth, is I would highly recommend that you hire an assistant at least part-time. I mean, by part-time, 20 hours a week, and allow that to grow into a full-time position. You doing everything is stunting your growth, especially if you're working full-time or you have other priorities. It's stunning your growth, especially if you bought 10 assets or you've closed on 6 or 7. There's a lot of things that can go on. If you're working a full-time job committed or you're traveling, wanting to travel to different workshops, you're not having time to focus on your business, hire an assistant. They can do a lot of the bullshit for you, the paperwork filing, you're checking your email, helping with schedule, going to get your dry cleaning, running deposit checks to the bank. They can do a lot of things that help you. Due diligence. They can do so much in a part-time that will help you. They literally will add 6 figures to your bottom line if you delegate them. A good assistant will bring $100,000 in extra 6 figures to your bottom line. I guarantee it. But I see so many people out there who just, I can't do it. I can't afford it. Bullshit, you can afford it. Everybody can afford it. You can afford paying somebody $15 an hour, paying $300 a week. I know it's $1,200 a month. My math right? Yes. Or $12 an hour, or $10 an hour. To do a lot of things, especially if you're going to be focused on something. They can help you with your marketing. They help you with your social media. There's so many things you can help them do that is below your pay grade that you need to be having somebody else do. Hire a good CPA. Quit trying to do it all yourself. And I've seen so much of this. I see people like, oh, I'm just going to have my bookkeeper help me set up the books and I'm going to do it all myself. I'm like, that's the stupidest thing you could ever do. It's like, I'm going to go be a realtor. No, you're not. I'm going to go do my own title work. No, you're not. Quit trying to do it all yourself. If you hire a good CPA and a bookkeeper, they will help save you money. They'll help you stay the hell out of trouble too. But when I see people, oh, I'm lazy, I'm going to do it all myself, that's the stupidest thing you could do. I'm be the first one to say that. All right? Hire a good attorney, somebody local too that you can talk to. Now, this is different than hiring like an entity attorney. It's like a law firm. I'll get to that in a second. You need a good real estate attorney that you can go talk with, somebody you can put up and visit with. Take them to lunch. somebody you can visit with on a regular basis who's also got a real estate mindset to talk with some things. I'm a big believer you got to hire somebody then to handle the paperwork on your entities and stuff. That's why I say hire Lawful Associates. Yeah, they've got different attorneys, but I use Lawful Associates all the time, not only just for my books, because I couldn't pay somebody to do it. My CPA and bookkeeper don't have time to do all that stuff. Heck, they don't know what it is. So they work constantly with what's going on in our office to help identify opportunities that they say we're going to be looking at. Did you know that you could award a bonus of $1,600 and give it to somebody in your office as a safety award and they're not taxed on it? Did you know that? Probably not. That's just one of the little things I learned. Like, oh, I got to give somebody a $1,600 safety bonus. I'm not taxed on it. They're not taxed because it's a bonus. I'm sorry, I'm not quoting this right, but there are a whole variety of things. Have you ever seen Lawful Associates go through that slide, or Aaron Young talk about all the slides, all the disclosures need to be filed? That was one thing when I went to the Magnify Your Wealth Summit for the first time. Steph and I walked out of there like the first hour, like, oh shit, we're doing everything wrong. And Aaron's like, oh, no, you're not. You're doing okay. It's like an onion. You have to add. And the most important thing that you can do early on is to build that in place. So you don't have to go back and peel back these layers trying to fix the issues. Spending time was one of the best things that I could have done. And we were going back and filling things out, getting things taken care of. But that's one of the things your bookkeeper, your books, and your CPA will thank you, along with your attorney, because they're not going to do all that stuff for you. All right? But that's a foundational do. That's one of the big reasons we have them come to our workshops all the time. I would attend more asset protection trainings. One of the great things, like I say, the John Hyers, the Jeff Watsons, they've got amazing stuff about things. Go and listen to everything I can from Quincy Long. Asset protection, because you guys work so hard. We all work so hard. We don't want to give it away. There's also things we want to structure so we're not having to pay taxes on things. Big thing. I would attend the Credit Sense Boot Camp Intensive. That was the thing I went through this weekend. Oh my gosh. I absolutely loved it. I sat through 95% of it, and it was phenomenal. I learned so many good things about what I should do and can do. And for many of those that went through it, I'm sure they're agreeing to the same thing. Charles Wilson mentioned something earlier out there. Laura Blunk mentioned on there. And then the other thing that you should all be doing as well is paying yourself first. And you should be tithing to the bank of you. Tithing to the bank of you. Taking at least 10% of your profits and putting it away. Putting it in a side account. Putting it in a savings account. And then also setting up that your self-directed IRA, you're paying to that monthly. And like I said before, add that amount to your budget. If you got to bring in 60 grand a year to replace your job, well, what's it going to take for you to add 5 grand to your IRA? Okay, 65. Well, I need to do it for me and my spouse both. Okay, so 70 now. And just make that part of that monthly deposit. Now, yes, sometimes we all know we have ebbs and flows, some big deals. A lot of us will fund our IRAs at the end of the year. It's usually what we do. We'll wire money in before April 15th to fund for 2018, or we start putting money away. Thing is here, if you've ever read The Richest Man in Babylon, these are foundational dues that you should be doing. Steph has heard me say this, put 10% away, put 10% of the way in that check that came in. Make sure wire it in. Put it in an account I don't see. Put it away. Put 10% away. Take it. We made 80 grand. Throw 8 grand in an account we don't see. We can do fine living off the rest. It's a little Dave Ramsey for you, but I believe you got to pay yourself first. A lot of us don't put our own benefits first. We put others first. And the only way to survive a hiccup is sometimes you've got to put down other things, work on your stuff, work on what you need to focus on so you can grow into that person that's up here. Because a lot of us, to get where we're at today, where we want to be in the long run, we got to grow into that person. You can't make 200 grand if you've never made 50 grand. You can't make 100 grand if you've never made 50 grand. It's a different mindset. It's a whole different mindset when you take it to the level. I look back where I'm at now compared to where I was 20 years ago. I'm a whole different person, like most of you are. I look back where I was 5 years ago. I've learned a lot in the last 5 years of things I need to structure differently, and started to do and structure things in a way. And that's okay. You've got plenty of time. But the thing is, start now. You're not going to complete it all in 6 months or 12 months. The idea here is to be knowledgeable enough the thing I want to tell you is the more you bring on experts, the more you bring on people to help you out with, the better off you're going to be. All right. And another thing here, if you want to build a perfect note business, is you have to schedule regular calls. And what do I mean by regular calls? I'll share that with you here. If you've got assets you're working through, whether it's 6 or 60, schedule regular calls with your servicer, your asset manager. Discuss strategies. Hey, where are we? Are we doing well? Is the borrower doing well? What's the issue? And then you want to do this. You want to communicate timetables. Well, if they don't hit this, don't respond in 2 weeks, I want to go ahead and do this. This is one of the most important things that you can do. And as you get busy, this is going to slough off. Trust me. Unless you got like one asset, that's all you focus on. It's like, woo. But when you start growing assets and buying assets on a regular basis, things are going to go to the side a little bit. You got to communicate on a constant basis with your servicer. This is why having an assistant can help you grow into growing more deals, because they're going to understand what's going on. They're not going to miss things like you might be if you're still working a full-time job, right? You definitely want to regular calls with your attorney in regards to the deals you're working on, any closings if you're closing their office too, or also helping create any contracts or paperwork that you might need along the way. This is separate than the paperwork for your entity. You're going to want to have constant conversations with your CPA, with your Laughlin, if you're using them, heck, Quest Trust or self-directed IRA. Get on the phone. Pick Ingrid or Rebecca or Beatrice or Nate or Nathan. Talk with your CPA. Hey, where are we headed? Am I getting the right discounts? Do I need to start an HSA? Do I need to start an ESA? Should I start a 401k, a solo 401k? What should I be doing to help maximize the amount that I can put away, pay the less amount of taxes? And you know what you need to do? You probably need to get them all on the phone at some point. All right. But the most important asset you can have is your family. This is all great putting this together, but if your family doesn't know what you're trying to put in place, if your spouse doesn't know, your family doesn't know where you're headed, that's a tough time. And look, one of the easiest ways to get a non-supportive spouse on board with them is go somewhere and have it financed by your business. But scheduling them, schedule your vacations, go ahead and put it in the calendar, schedule it, pay for it in advance if you can. Take the time to pay off a cruise 4 months before you go. Or to schedule a trip to the Ratland, whatever. Schedule them, make them part of your budget, because that's one of the greatest ways to help turn a spouse into a supportive spouse is by doing something they enjoy. Maybe it's your husband's not supportive, so you go to a college football game. Hey, let's go to a college football game or NFL or NBA, whatever it might be. For now, football season's over. But communicate to your family what you're working towards. Communicate why you're working those extra 10 hours a week on the weekends or at night, 2 hours a night working on some things. All right? Communicate why you're working to set up some systems so you can spend more time with them once you get through some things. Because too many times, if you're the only person doing this and you're working full time, your spouse is going to get upset because you don't have any time to spend any time with them, him or her, your kids too. That's why you need to hire somebody, pay somebody to do it. Trust me, it'll be helpful. So some of the systems that you need to put in place, obviously add systems to finding deals. And this can be pretty easily done with either emails out to the asset managers like we preach on a regular basis, at least once, twice a month, or also having a virtual assistant, relatively cheap. And your assistant doesn't always have to be in person. It could be virtual. Jumping on LinkedIn, contacting asset managers that way, sending direct messages, okay? There's a lot of things that you can be doing. Hang on, I'm texting stuff right now. Almost done. You can also add systems for marketing, like Buffer and Hootsuite. You can do direct mail if you're going to do something like a Postcard Mania or emails out. You can set all that stuff up for marketing on a regular basis, just like you did for asset managers. Like I'll give you an example. Shannon and I, literally today, we sat down, okay, what's going through our Twitter accounts on a monthly basis? Let's go ahead and pre-schedule 30 days out. Let's go ahead and set this stuff up really easy. It takes us about an hour for me to identify it. Boom. She's implementing it in 30 minutes. It's faster for her than it is for me to do. And that's why I'm glad I pay her what I pay her. You want to add systems to reviewing assets. Maybe it's using Note Pros. Maybe it's you have your assistant go through and teach exactly what states, what areas you're looking at and scrap everything else. Add systems to your due diligence besides just reviewing. I mean, due diligence, like, okay, checking taxes, calling the utility departments. Okay. Doing other things that can help you with the identifying assets, so you're not wasting your time running through deals that you're trying to put a round peg in a square hole. And I'm talking to the agents out there on this one. So many agents like get into this business like, oh, that's a deal for everybody. Everything is a deal. No, it's not, because there's a lot of shit that you're not going to buy. Just get rid of it. Cut it down. If you're going through the virtual workshop, you've heard me talk about get rid of stuff below values, or getting rid of things above values. If there's a ton of equity, get rid of it. Or if it's in a small town like 5,000 or less, get rid of it. Okay. All right. Add systems to your due diligence. Inform your staff what you're looking for, and they'll work. One of the greatest things I've ever done was literally when I'm buying assets is have my staff go through, carve out the list, and then literally out of 400 assets, we have 100 that we're bidding on. Okay. That's one of the best things you do, and it's not that difficult to do. You have a VA do it. All right. Now the question is here, I know a lot of people in here are like they're trying to be a solopreneur. And if you're the only one doing it, then you are the issue. And I know there's all these fancy what if or bring the milk, or there's all sorts of little applications of you that will match up with this. That's great. You can use Podio or whatever you want to use. Okay. There's a whole variety of different things you use. But ultimately, if you're still the person that has to manage all that, if you get a 50-hour weekend and you got to work extra, or you have a family issue, then you have a problem. Online systems are great, but you still have people things. An online system is not going to mail a letter in that you get from Harbor Portfolio. An online system is not going to take and get a assignment recorded. Okay. You want your business to work when you aren't there. Like one of the greatest things that happened for us last year is literally boom, transfer everything, having Hazel and Matt Gillette at Singer Law Group, who's a big asset for us, and them communicating because they were out, boom, getting things done. I'm in the middle of Spain, the Sea of Spain. That's not right. There's another name for it, but you get what I'm talking about. I'm getting text message emails. Hey, we got a couple of loan mods. You want to approve on these? I'm like, yes. Boom, shakalaka. I'm like, why did I have to get a phone call? Didn't I tell you if they're paying more than $300 a month or bringing an extra $100, $200 extra a month, we're okay? Okay. So you want money to be made when you aren't there. And I get this. So you're still working full time, still trying to close on your first couple deals. I get it. You're in a unique position, though, to set up some things. So as you're going through things, you're taking the checklist that we provide through the workshops, taking those checklists and making them your own, taking those checklists and creating your KPI, your key performance indicators, but you're also SOPs, your standing operating procedures. Those are so valuable. You can't be a jack of all trades because stuff won't get done. Or your family will eventually get mad at you because you're spending all your time trying to be a control freak. And it won't get done. If you close down more than 20 assets, by God, you better hire an assistant, because otherwise you are dangerously facing getting close. You're going to hit burnout, or your family's going to get upset. You don't want that. I have no idea what the heck she's talking about. I've been a good info. All right, anyway. And this comes down to two things. Are you the guy on the assembly line? Are you the person on the assembly line? Or are you the person in the office like Henry Ford? If you think about this, Henry Ford made an assembly line, one of the best entrepreneurs early on. He get a phone in his desk, somebody asks him a question. I don't know, but I can find out. The question I want to ask you is, how many of your vendors, how many of your teammates are in your phone? What's in your phone? Are you able to control this with a phone call and figure out what's going on? If you're the person that has to go do it all, that's the problem. And you talk about building your perfect note business. Your perfect note business runs with or without you. Preferably it runs smoother without you, because that allows you to go doing the things that you want to be doing. That's going to give you the opportunity to go out and close more deals. This is a simple business of rinse and repeat a lot of times. If you're the person having to do it over and over and over again, I'm sorry, that's the wrong thing to do. So the ultimate thing that many people have to do initially is you have to define success. And everybody's success is different. Mine is different from all of y'all's. Desi's is different from Laura's. Paul's is different from Carolyn. All right? You have to define success. Is this a hobby? If it's a hobby, then great. You're fine doing things on the side. This is just a hobby. There's you can do whatever you want. It's totally fine. Oh, I'm happy. I really like to dig into it. That's fine. It's a hobby for it. But if it's ultimately going to be a business for you, You do not want to replace one shitty business or one shitty boss for a crappy asshole boss with you who looks a whole lot like you. And I mean this coming straight from the heart. I've had my peaks and valleys where I was like, oh, I really hate this right now. Not enjoying this. What I got to do to get back to where I fell back in love with notes? Is success going to be replacing your income? Is it going to be helping you financing your retirement, your kids' education, bringing mom and dad home, retiring your spouse? There is no wrong answer here. It is whatever you want it to be. But the question is, if you have not figured out what your definition of success, you're just running all over the place like the Wild West. And I don't care if you're going to be closing on 10 deals a year or 100 deals a year or eventually closing on 1,000 deals. That is your definition of success is totally up to you. You are the person that controls it. Nobody else does. You control it. Not your boss, not the government. I'm sorry, you control it. Whether you show up to work or you don't show up to work. You control what you want to happen by what you're doing in your spare time. If it's sitting at home watching TV on a Saturday, Sunday, by all means, that's okay. If it's out shooting the shit, if it's out plowing a field, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you have to look at what your actions that are doing, do they equate to where you're going to be in the future? Think about this. Would a temporary, stressful time, temporary of you just putting the nose down, getting things done, putting away your toys or putting away the softball leagues, the trivia leagues, or whatever it may be for 60 days or 90 days, how much further along would you be in your business? I have stopped going to conferences because they are not helping me helping me get any closer to success. I hate to say that, but it is. I'm not going to DME. I'm not going to Noteworthy. I'm not going to IMN. There's nothing wrong with people going to those, but the thing is, you have to look at where you want to be. What is success to you? I'm not going to note conferences. It just doesn't make sense. Everybody knows me there. I'm not the dumbest person in the room. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to be the dumbest person in the room. I want to go find new channels. I want to go find new things. That's what my success is. Because I have a bigger number than most people. And that's what you have to look at. And my number was small to begin with. Oh, I'm divorced, I'm single. If I made $3,500 a month, that's going to cover my bills, my rent, and I'm going to be able to have fun. What's your number? Well, got to 5, got to 10. My number now, it's pretty good size where I want to be. And I want you to think about what would success look like to you. And I've talked about what success looks like to me. I'm not a big car guy. I love my Dodge Ram. I don't like it. I love it. I really enjoy my truck. I don't need a Tesla. I don't need a Mercedes. And that's, if you like cars, your thing, that's great. I like to travel. I like going to new things. I like the vacations and stuff that I take. I like going to new places. I like experiencing new things. I want to do that for a while. I would love to travel the globe for a year. I would love to hit 100 different places in a year. That would be awesome. The things I would have a VA doing on a regular basis, I would have them doing my email blast. I would have them doing due diligence. I would be having them pulling IRA leads in different counties. There's a whole variety of things, Elena, that you could have your VA do for you. You can set up your website. There's just a variety of things, okay? As we get some comments here, Laura says, is that intensive? Oh, my emoji is mind-blowing with you don't know. Yeah, what Merle shared. Roger says, good Texan owns a good truck. Yeah, you're welcome, Helena. Guys and gals, it's not difficult. I tell you this. But if you've never sat down and thought about what success would look like to you and then started running the numbers backwards, that's the way to get there. You reverse engineer your dreams. You reverse engineer your definition of success. That's how you build a perfect note business. Because a perfect note business to you is different than what it is to me. Like I said, it could be 10, it could be 100, it could be 1,000 deals, whatever that is, that's okay. It's up to you. You just have to put the experts in place, the legal, the books, the assistants that are doing the things that you're not an expert at. A perfect note business is where you're doing the things above your pay grade, at or above your pay grade, and everything else below your pay grade is delegated. Not everybody is there, okay? I want you, though, to take some time Think about what success looks like and write it down. Write it down. Describe it. Talk about it. Think about it and then write it down. And then you know what? Share it. Print it out. Put it up on a dream board. Put it up on your fridge. That's what you're working towards. And I get it. Doing some of the things we talked about takes money. It takes money, $1,000 roughly to have the corporate veil protection for your asset. It takes money hiring a CPA to do your books. It takes money to talk to some of these people. That's all right. That's okay. It takes money to put together a fund. It takes money to create LLCs. I get that. Start putting things away. Because let's face it, we all waste a lot of money on stupid shit that we don't need to pay for. Okay? So in planning your success, figure out what your focus is. You can't be a jack of all trades. Focus on your areas. Focus on the states. Focus on the type of note you're buying. Then, henceforth, go after the sources. Who's selling those assets? Who's lending in those states? What servicer has assets in those states? And then focus on the funding. Well, I'll pull IRA investors in those states, and I'll direct mail, or I'll raise capital in my local people. But I'm going to put together these systems so that I can do what I need to be. And your systems aren't going to be perfect. You're going to hone them. They're going to work some better for others than they work for you. Put as many systems in place as you can, and then structures. Oh, we're going to do this. This needs to move over into that asset. This needs to move over into this LLC. Oh, we're refinancing that. Oh, we're moving them out from a joint venture to slapping a lien on the property. There's a variety of things that you can do with that. And we need our legal team. We need our accountants. We need our attorneys to put those things in place. Here's what I want to do. Go ahead and get it done. That's what I want to happen, and let's go ahead and get it done. And then ultimately, really probably should start with a family. I should have put that up higher. Here's what I want to focus on. Here is what we could do. If you could do this, what would that look like? If you could go somewhere, what are you wearing? What does that look like? Because a lot of us, success is a whole different photo than what we're used to seeing. It's a whole different image. If you want to be somewhere like in Hawaii with a pineapple drink in your hand, looking out at the beautiful ocean on a sunny beach, and that's your idea of success, I can spend like that with my getting suntanned or watching the pretty girls or the suntan guys go by, whatever it is. Great. You just have to plan it. Got to plan it and put it in place so you can ultimately find what that image of success looks like to you. And that's actually a lapu lapu that Steph and I got when we were at Alani in Hawaii last April for celebrate her birthday. It's a great picture, great view, picturesque, right? We worked really hard to get to there. We worked really hard to go on our cruise. We worked really hard to get some things, but I still make many mistakes. Well, the biggest thing I can tell you guys is seek counsel, not advice. If you're making a play or working through something, don't forget to pick up the phone and ask somebody, hey, here's what I'm focused on, and give the full information. The one thing that always frustrates the hell out of me is when somebody here's a deal. I'm like, well, give me all the information. What's the location? What's the value? Don't give me generalistics. And then also don't call me asking questions if you don't know what the pricing of an asset is. If I don't have the spreadsheet, don't ask me what columns mean. Take a little time, use a little common sense out there, everybody. Look at the spreadsheet. Spend some time. A lot of people get a spreadsheet in. I had a guy call me 2 days ago, Friday afternoon. He starts asking me all these questions about a spreadsheet. I'm like, whoa. What are you looking at? Where did you get it from? Well, you wouldn't tell me. I'm like, then don't bother me. If you're not going to give me all the information, I can't help you. Because if I don't have all the information on what you're working with, then I'm going to give you false advice. And then you're going to get upset. Well, you said this. Well, yeah. But if you didn't give me all the information, I can't help you. So if you want to really find success, you have to put all the information in there. What do you want? What does it look like? Who's doing what for you? There's a cost to it, but you can grow into that cost. You can grow into the systems as you grow your note business. And that's, like I said before, that's how you're ultimately going to grow a successful and a perfect note business that works perfectly for what you have in mind, what you want to do. So take your plan. First two things I would recommend if you have not done this. Literally, I'm so excited about what Merrill did and his team did at Credit Sense the last 2 days. I was on it. I enjoyed it. Absolutely got a ton out of it. Can't wait for them. Literally working on some things here today to get to check them out. EpicFundingSecrets.com bootcamp intensive. It's March 2nd and 3rd is the next one. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. And if you sign up for it and you're at the end of the first day you don't want it, he will refund your money back, no questions asked. So you have nothing to fear. Trust me, stick through the first day. So well worth it on the personal side. Second day on the business side. Oh my gosh, so much great stuff. But evicshuntingsecrets.com/bootcamp intensive. I was so blown away. This will not be the first time you hear me talk about it because it was so valuable. And the same thing on the next Lawful Associates Bootcamp, the Magnify Your Wealth Summits in San Diego. They've got a special code for if you use the code NOTE, NOTES, to get a discount there. This is the only link that Merrill's using just with us. So you don't need a special code for that. It's 97 or 197 or 497. But literally get signed up, Magnify Your Wealth. You will raise capital if you go there. There's such a great wealth raising event in San Diego at the Dana on Mission Bay, April 11th, 12th, and 13th. Yeah, I'll be there. I totally, absolutely love it. I learn something every time. I go there to hang out and pick my attorneys, the Kevin Days, Aaron Young, and his friends. All sorts of great people out there that I enjoy. Okay. Yep, Paul Cooper. I met phenomenal people there at Magnify Your Wealth. I love Aaron. Aaron's been one of my great resources, a great friend, and I highly recommend those two upcoming events for your business. If you really want to put things in place for your business, you got to start really with a foundation, and I don't want you to mess up by setting up the wrong foundation, the wrong entities, or doing the wrong things that will affect you and your fundability later on in life. So 2 things I would recommend right there. Take a photo, share it. You cannot go wrong with either one of those. I guarantee it, everybody. Totally guarantee you can't go wrong either one of those. All right? So any questions, comments, concerns before we wrap it up for the evening here? Thanks, Laura. I appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So good stuff. Great session. Thank you. All right, guys. Well, then that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Note Night in America. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Got some great stuff out of it. Lisa, you should go to Magnify Your Wealth. Okay, that's the whole point. Don't wait till October. If I'm giving you something right now, quit putting off success. And honestly, Lisa, with you coming from where you're at and stuff like that, you need to go in April. Don't wait till October because there'll be plenty of excuses not to go then. Book the damn ticket now and go. All right? Trust me. It's a valuable thing. You cannot go wrong there. Trust me on this. Book it now. Don't wait around. All right? Book it. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it. Thanks, Byron. Thanks, Shannon. Thanks, Wylea. Appreciate it. Have a good evening, buddy. And go get something done, and we'll see you all at the top.